Hey, my name is Laura DeGaetano, and I am going to share with you one of my favorite children's book. The book is called Snowmen at Night. The book is written by Carolyn Buhner, and the illustrations are by Mark Buhner. This book was published in 2002, and it is one that I use often in my classroom. When I'm using this book in my classroom, the first thing that I like to do is to start with a prediction that my students work on. I start out by reading the section to them in the book that goes like this. So if your snowman's grin is crooked or he's lost a little height, you'll know he's just been doing what snowmen do at night. So this is the page that we start reading in my classroom. And the reason I choose this page to start is because I like my kids to start out with predicting what they think would happen in the story. I have them make a web on the board where we put in the middle snowmen at night, and then on the outsides they come up with ideas of what they believe that their snowman would do at night if they built a snowman and he came to life. We then also talk about this as a fiction story, and we brainstorm ideas about what we would do if we became snowmen at night. I like this book because you also can do different things. We do a lot of how-to writings. So we will do a how-to writing about how to build a snowman. Some kids in my class have never built a snowman, so we go through the process of what it's like to build a snowman and what happens as the snowman melts, which is really cool to see at the end as well, because at the end of the story, it also is going to show that the snowman is melting. With this book, I also like to talk about the winter and what makes the difference between the winter and the other seasons. I think that this book leads to a lot of fictional narrative writing for the students to be creative and come up with their own ideas. Another thing that we like to do is when we look through the pictures, we will come up with our own storyline of what we think is happening. So before we even read it, we might make this page and come up with what we think the snowmen are doing. Or we might turn to this page and say what we think the snowmen are doing. So this is really good at leading into a lot of predicting. This is also very good at leading into a lot of the fictional narrative writing, where the students get to put themselves into the perspective and the view of the snowman, and they get to be that character. I find that my kids also really enjoy doing a little acting and a little theater where they get to act out what it's like to be a snowman. So that's been really fun too. We'll put hats and scarves and mittens on, and they pretend they're a snowman, and they get to play whatever activity they were writing about in their passage. One of the things I really like about this author is she does a really good job of doing some sequels to the story. So this is another story that I really enjoy, also Snowmen All Year Long, that goes through the seasons and the things that the snowmen do all year long. There's also Snowmen at Christmas and Snowmen at Work. Snowmen at Work's a really great story to tie into what work people do and talking about community helpers. So that's another thing that we will tie into our classroom as well. So I just think all along this author does a really great job of presenting some very informational or in very fictional fun stories for children to read. And I think that the author and the illustrator do a really good job of making the pictures really bright and interesting for the kids to read. So Snowman at Night is a fabulous book with lots of different avenues of things you can do with it in your classroom. So I really hope that you take a chance to read this with your kids in your classroom, and I know they will love it as much as mine. Thank you.